But right now we have item number 51, which is a motion to discuss extending Broward County's paratransit route to make Florida Atlantic University and Boca Raton a stop on the route. There are a number of speakers, but it's Commissioner Wexler's item. So Commissioner Wexler can open it for us, and then we'll move on to the public speakers.
I'm going to be very brief in opening this item. It is something that I feel very strongly about, that I have reviewed extensively. After the speakers have come forward, I will identify various documentation for you within the packet that shows how far we go into Miami-Dade County versus how far we go into Palm Beach County. I will also share with you the philosophy of this Board of County Commissioners that pays for paratransit services for all of our needy and qualifying individuals, even though it is way beyond the 3/4 of a mile of the fixed route bus service. With that, if we could have public speakers, I'd appreciate that.
Thank you, Commissioner Wexler. There are 9 public speakers on this matter. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak. The first speaker on the list is Karen Fortman, who is the chair of the Broward Advisory Board for Individuals with Disabilities. Ms. Fortman, when you are ready, you may start.
Ready. Here I am.
Great.
Good morning, and thank you, all of you, for your advocacy on behalf of individuals with disabilities. And certainly, I personally thank each of you for the high quality of individuals that you have appointed to the Advisory Board for Individuals with Disabilities. It's been a fun year to work with such great professionals. As chairman of the Advisory Board, what we always do is lead our members in a workshop in December where we identify issues as pertinent to the ordinance. That is our responsibility, to identify issues and make recommendations to this board. I'm going to say it's probably 5 years now, it may be more than that, that we have brought forward this particular recommendation. I pulled the annual report from 2013, exactly addressing this issue. In the spirit of regional transportation planning, the Advisory Board strongly urges this board to extend Broward County transit and paratransit services for students who live in Broward County and directly need to go to Florida Atlantic University campus in Boca. In this case, we received a response from the staff, and quite frankly, in summary, it was no. We then came back the following year with suggestions in order to implement this particular recommendation. Again, emphasizing that these are students who are enrolled at FAU, and because of coursework, where those courses are required to be taken at the Boca campus, so this is not uncommon, except that many students jump in their car and drive. This is not a population who we want to jump in their car and drive. They're accustomed to using their paratransit program, but they are forced to go to a drop-off spot where they then have to organize a transfer trip in order to get to the FAU campus. So we're very concerned about safety, we're concerned about organizing their time, and so on. Here's one of the things that I want to emphasize. These students are already customers of the paratransit program. They already can call and ask for a trip to the Meisner Park drop-off spot. So concerns from staff about this issue being expensive is not. Our recommendation simply asks that their destination be rerouted from the current drop-off site directly to the FAU campus on Glades Road. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for your service on the board.
I appreciate it.
The next speaker is Elaine Tenner, followed by Roland Mendonca.
Good morning, everyone. I am the chairman of the Transportation Committee, and I'm very happy to be here and honored. I think Karen laid out the situation quite clearly. And just to reinforce it, I want to introduce Roland Mendonca. He is a former student, and he's now an accessibility consultant at FIU, and he can tell you personally what he's gone through.
Great.
And his letter is part of the attachments in your packet today.
Thank you, Commissioner Wexler.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor and
Good morning.
Commissioners.
Yes.
My name is Roland Mendanka, as was mentioned, and as a former student and a current employee at Florida Atlantic University, I am living the struggle, and also I am seeing the struggles of students who have varying disabilities. My compassion level went up a few levels about a year or so ago when I noticed a large percentage of students with disability, visual impairment, are using the paratransit services. And it's actually endangering them to having to make that connection. But for my own story, it takes me approximately 2 hours. I would leave work at 5 and don't get home until about 7:30, 8 o'clock, and that's usually on a good day. There are times I would get home at 9 o'clock and then have to start again at 5 o'clock in the morning to do that same process. And what we're asking is nothing super special, but just for us to have an equal opportunity, because students are being disenfranchised, in my estimation. And it will actually reduce the cost, because on a given year, I'm paid about $3,000 for transportation costs. So one, it's costly, and two, it's time consuming. A third element is that students who are with disability, they can do their bachelor's degree, but if they are attempted to do their master's or their PhD program, many of these classes start at 4:45, and some go all the way to 10 o'clock at night. Many of these students will not be able to take it because the trans stop working at a certain time, and so they wouldn't be able to pursue that education. So I'm asking the commissioners, if you can please look at this situation a bit closer, and to see if you could just help the students who are trying to pursue their tertiary education, so that they also can be productive citizens in our beautiful county and state. Thank you.
Thank you. We now have Farrah Robles, followed by Monica Vesquez.
Hello and good afternoon. I'm so happy you guys are seeing us today. I really appreciate it that you guys are looking into this issue. I am an FAU student. I am finishing my bachelor's in social work with a minor in sociology. I'm hoping to go into my master's in August. And the reason why I bring that up is because I currently live in Pompano Beach, and I do this every day. I see Roland all the time. We meet at Starbucks. But I want you to bring up to mind that 93% of visually impaired individuals are jobless, are unemployed right now. So it's only a 7% that are working. And we all know that there's a correlation between education and, job opportunity, money, income, a way of life. There is no four-year university here in Broward, unless you go to NOVA, which is not an option for everybody. It's not public university. Our choices are FIU or FAU, and FAU is the closest one. To the current situation right now, it's only a quarter of a mile of a difference. You have to drive by FAU to go to Meisner. I don't think that anything we're asking is fair, and I would really urge you to look into it, because this will really benefit our quality of life, not only now for me to not wake up so early or for me to be there so late, but also for our future. If we really want to invest in students and in people with disability, giving in a quality education in a timely fashion should be a priority for our county and for everybody here. So I really urge you, I'm happy you guys are looking into it. I want to do better for myself. I need the extra help because I can't drive to go to school. But you guys could help me and us if you guys pass this through. I really urge you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you for being here. We now have Monica Vesquez, followed by Tracy Stafford.
The microphone is right here.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for being here, commissioners from Broward County and also the residents of Broward. And a special thanks to Commissioner Lois Wexler. Appreciate you bringing this issue back into the forefront of accessibility, fair and safe, accessible transportation for the county residents. I'm baffled. I stood here 10 years ago with the same issue when I was a student at FAU. Again, the different challenges that the residents face and having no choice but to go to FAU because of certain classes only offered on the Boca campus. I don't think it's too much to ask to go a quarter of a mile difference just to drop off students at a university. We all know that universities are hubs for thousands of students, and here you have your constituents in the residents here wanting to get an education to better their lives, and knowing that unemployment rate is so high among people with disabilities as it is, and having to go through the daily challenges, and all the different limitations on a daily basis. So I'm asking you if you can, for a moment, close your eyes and try to imagine walking in our shoes. Have any of you taken the bus or paratransit before and seen that it can take 3 to 4 hours to make the connection and to get onto the school, and also that sometimes there's limitations in the with the other county at night, and services end earlier. So if I urge you to consider the options for going to the FAU campus and to take the challenge. Thank you.
Thank you. We now have Tracy Stafford, followed by Felipe Rodriguez.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, my name's Tracy Stafford. I am privileged to serve on your advisory board for persons with disabilities, and Commissioner Ryan and the board gave me that privilege just in the last year, and I appreciate that. I have a background as an elected official. I'm a former mayor of Wilton Manors and a former legislator for 10 years. And now I'm a person with disabilities. I wasn't born a person with disabilities. My public service was as a person without disabilities that impeded me from carrying on in a normal way, that with issues that now I find obstacles. And I've thought back so many times about the years that I spent in public service and how I had the opportunity to do things that maybe didn't get done, not because I was insensitive or didn't care, I just didn't know. And the fact that Commissioner Wexler asked that this item be agended and that you're sitting here listening to it is an encouraging sign for the disability community, and I appreciate that. I know that you deal with scarce resources and that you try to apportion them out in a way that makes a difference to people. It seems like, from my experience and background, that this is an opportunity for you to do something that makes a huge difference to some people and without a big price tag. And I would encourage you to jump at that opportunity. And thanks for listening to me.
Thank you. Thank you, Representative Stafford, for the great service you provided to our state and also to Wilton Manors.
Thank you.
We now have Felipe Rodriguez, followed by Shaniqua Miller.
That was Howard. Podium is here. Microphone is here. You don't have to hold the microphone. It's good.
Good morning. Well, my name is Felipe. Next year, I'm planning to go to FIU. And FAU is just less than a quarter miles. And imagine we had to travel a lot and spend almost $14 a day. And definitely, I'm here to support current students and future students. There's going through, this time-consuming problem that we have right now. And I would like to see a change, because that's definitely going to benefit current students and future students. they're, struggling to get a FAU. And, well, thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. We now have Shaniqua Miller, followed by the final speaker, which would be Michael Rayner.
Going around?
And the microphone is
Right there.
right there.
Well, it echoes. Well, hello, everyone.
Hello, Ms. Miller.
Down. My partner here doesn't like public speaking. She's nervous. Myself, currently I'm working on my bachelor's, and I will be finishing that up in December. And I am looking into, well, where am I going to go for my master's? And right now, the way my student loans are set up, Nova's not necessarily looking like a positive option. And as I spoke to my colleagues about where to go, everyone's urging me to attempt to go to FAU. But then when I speak to my other colleagues that are visually impaired, it's not looking too glum. I am a single mother of two, and I have played the whole connection game of trying to schedule one paratransit to meet the next paratransit, and it doesn't work too well because you're either an hour early or you miss it, and then now you have to Uber somewhere, and it's not necessarily a feasible option. I would actually like to attend FAU because they do have what I would like to do for my master's, but if this doesn't get resolved, then I might just be stuck at home and not pursuing the rest of my education to hopefully get a job and better myself. So I really do hope that this does pass through because I really, really, really would like to continue on my education. So here we go. Thank you.
Thank you. And you and your partner did a great job speaking. Thank you. The final speaker is Michael Rayner.
Good morning, Mayor and Commissioners. And Commissioner Wexler, thank you for posting this to the agenda. While I serve as the chair of the Human Rights Board for the county, I'm speaking as an individual. I'm really proud that this item was posted here so that you got a chance to hear the stories. When I saw Commissioner Wexler posted this on Thursday, this is a 10-year struggle, at least that I'm aware of. I finished my bachelor's in social work at a time when I struggled with HIV with great difficulty and having to withdraw several times because of illness. And I got to meet Monica Vasquez, who spoke. And at the time, I lived a few blocks away from Commissioner LaMarca, and I would drive Monica as often as I could to class so that she wouldn't at that time have to be dropped off across the street from FAU at Glades Avenue and venture and risk her life crossing either an 8 or 10 lane road with crazy butt college kids driving out, rushing to enjoy life. It was a dangerous situation. Obviously, Meisner was some kind of change within it over time, but I just think it's not reasonable. And I think that as you as policymakers set policy, and you have the opportunity to correct something to help individuals who struggle every day to achieve the same goals that we might want to and might easier enjoy. And I think this is a really easy fix for a quarter of a mile. It just makes sense. I want to thank many of you who I spoke with prior to this today, or to the item was just called, who have articulated your common sense support for this. It just makes sense. You're talking about Florida Atlantic University that has a campus in Davie, but to continue education, I had to go to Boca as well. And that trip isn't as easy for everyone. I regret that while I was at the School of Social Work, we never took this on as an advocacy project with the county to make sure it was rectified. If I were still there, I probably would have. I'm very proud that the Advisory Board with Disabilities has been trying to remedy this for probably 10 years, I think it's been. And it should never have existed. It should never have had to come to this, quite personally, in my opinion. But I think you have a chance to fix that and make the statement that when someone who's with a disability, especially when it comes to FAU, is trying to get to school to further their lives and find better opportunities for employment, this is common sense than to have them coordinate with an entire other system managed by another county, have the expectation that that service is going to show up on time without maybe having a tire blowout. What if they had an exam that day? For that little bit of a quarter more of a mile, you could have risked that person not getting to have their exam taken for a particular class. And, you know, with the pressures and everything, I think they spoke really articulate to the issue, and I just want to thank you for your time.
Thank you, and thank you for your service too, Mr. Rayner. Well, we're now back to the dais. We have a number of speakers on this matter. The first person on the queue is Commissioner LaMarca.
Thank you, Mayor. Michael, had I known you were going to school, I would have been happy to drive you, being able to live so close. We started the day out with Principal Johnson from Ely talking about public schools, and then we have Broward College and FAU items up here today. And I attended public schools K through 12, and Broward College is an evening commuter when 595 was being built, and FAU as well, whether it's Central or North or Boca campus. You know, clearly we want the best for folks, and certainly if there's one roadblock along the way, we want to basically be able to remove that. But we want to be very cautious and pragmatic about just changing something for a small number of folks. But I would say that, you know, considering what we've heard here from Michael and the other folks that spoke, as well as Representative Stafford, again, thanks for your service. You know, we're talking about if I was a little confused on the issue because Meisner is closer to one of these points of origin than, for example, Boca FAU campus on Glades Road, as the road goes, but not as if you use the interstate. I wasn't aware that we don't necessarily have to go to Meisner Park. If we don't need to go to Meisner Park and we get on I-95 to Glades, it's a bit further, but it's right off of 95. I'm gonna be 100% in support of making this change, but I'm gonna caution that with this would be the only location I'd say we would add because education, because of the other issues that were spoken about here. But very carefully, we don't want the next question to be, well, you know, how about Palm Beach Atlantic College? How about, you know, that's only up at, you know, West Palm. So I don't want our folks to have to be driving far away from our county, but just into Palm Beach is not a whole lot different than just into Miami-Dade County. And Florida Atlantic University has invested time, effort, resources, and a lot of other important investments in Broward County to have our central and downtown campuses. So I'm supportive of the issue, and certainly I know Paratransit will do a great job with it. Considering that their education issue, they're for FAU, I'm assuming when we take those ride requests that they put where they're going, and we're not going to extend it into other places in the Palm Beach County. So I'm in support of the item for FAU and for these students. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Sharif.
Well, first of all, thank you, Commissioner Wexler, for putting this item on. Actually, a little shocked that it's been going on for 10 years because I consider this to be one of those things that's a no-brainer. Secondly, you know, it's hard enough to go to school and to get an education without being visually challenged or physically disabled. And I believe that everyone should have the same opportunities and options, and that if this bus service can provide that for them, then I'm supportive of doing that. In addition to that, I am not going to limit it. I think, Commissioner Wexler, that my children who do not have any disabilities can apply to go to Palm Beach College, they can apply to go to Miami-Dade College, they can apply to go wherever they want to go. As far as our bus service can take them, to get them there safely and to get them there consistently, I'm willing to put the dollars in to do that. And so what I'm going to say here today is that if I do receive another request, or we do have another item, Commissioner Wexler, I'd be more than happy to support that, whether that be going to Miami-Dade County or whether that be going further into Palm Beach County, because for them to have the type of tenacity and spirit to pursue higher education the way that they are pursuing it, I am very motivated and enthusiastic to support that, and I will do that at every item. Thank you.
Commissioner Bogan.
I totally agree with Commissioner Sharif and Commissioner Wexler. I think it's great that this has been brought, And we're here to help those in need. And again, I agree totally if there's another request, because if we can't help those people who really need it, then we shouldn't be here. And so I'm fully supportive.
Commissioner Ritter.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, I've been on this commission a really long time. And I've seen lots of people who really need bus service. Not necessarily paratransit, but BCT, regular service. I've seen people come before this board during the depths of the recession begging us not to cut bus routes that impacted hundreds of people, not a dozen, hundreds of Broward County residents who wanted to get to school, needed to get to work, wanted to go shopping, and many of them were from District 3. There's not a whole lot of bus service to begin with in District 3, but we cut bus routes in the district I represent, as we did in at least most, if not all, of our county commission districts. And that service hasn't been restored to where it was prior to the recession. I don't expect that it will get restored for a bunch of reasons. And while I appreciate the people here today who have come, who have asked for this service, and while I'm going to support it today, I also feel for those people whose bus routes were cut, who haven't been restored, and who don't have cars, and the only way they can get around is Broward County Transit. And they're still asking us for help to put back what we took away, and that's not happening yet. Those people are often more impacted because they actually have to take more buses and spend more time on those buses to get from point A to point B than the people who use TOPS. I would bet that in the unfortunate circumstance where someone missed an exam because of a transfer that didn't occur, that any professor would be more than willing to allow a person to take that exam later because of that unfortunate circumstance which may have been foreseen. And when you talk about roadblocks, it isn't just the people with disabilities in this county that have had those roadblocks put up. It's the people who continue to clamor for Broward County Transit to go where they need to go, when they need it to go there, that have been cut or were cut as a result of the recession. So I get it. You know, I want it to be as easy as possible for the people who have come to us here today who are directly impacted by this. And I think there were maybe one or two of the speakers who are actually directly impacted by this today. But I would not want to see this go anywhere else. I do not think that that going down to FIU or Palm Beach College or anywhere outside of a certain limit outside Broward County would be an acceptable use of tax dollars. And that doesn't limit people's choices any more than those people who are currently using Broward County Transit or would like to use Broward County Transit, but we don't go where they need them to go any more than it impacts them. So I'm going to support this today. I think it's the right thing to do, but I would not support extending the service beyond that extra quarter mile. While I actually agree with Commissioner LaMarca that eliminating the Meisner stop might be a good idea, I would like to know how many people would be impacted by that. I'll bet I'll bet more people go to Meisner through TOPS than go to FAU through TOPS. So I know you're not, but Commissioner LaMarca had brought it up, and I think I think it's. I mean, it would certainly cut the time off, but at the very least, this is as far as I'm willing to go, and so I'm going to support this today. But I would not support an item that came up in the future to go anywhere outside this really small northern, southern border of Broward County into our sister counties. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Holness.
Yes, I think whenever we can help those who are in need by empowering them to take charge of their lives, we ought to do that. And this is what we will do with enabling these people to get to school, get to where they can invest their time and talent in bettering themselves, thereby bettering our community by potentially helping in many ways. But on any note, we have to look and be prudent. At this point in time, for me to say, I'll support any others that come, I can't. We have to look at it on a case-by-case basis and see the benefits and how it works throughout the whole system to ensure that we have balance. And as Commissioner Ritter stated, there's a lot of needs that exist in our community for transportation, for people who actually do need the help to get to work, to get to school, to function, and to be productive. So I'm definitely in support of this because it's a worthwhile thing for us to do.
Thank you. Commissioner Furr.
Thank you. First, I want to thank Commissioner Wexler for bringing this up. I think it's a very important article that you brought up. And I also want to thank the people that talked today because I think you put a face on what paratransit is all about for this county that very few people have had a chance to see. I don't think a lot of people know what paratransit is or does. And today we had a good chance.
I am passing the torch.
Thank you. Okay. And I appreciate the fact that this is an investment in those people that are taking this. That we're investing in their education, and they're going to be, productive people in society. So I appreciate that. The one thing I would like us to maybe look at is the extra cost on this is because it's a one-way trip, and there's no passengers coming back. And I wonder if we might want to look at those possibilities of alternatives, such as either some of the TNCs that can go up there and then they can bring somebody else back. I keep pushing. Well, I look at Uber Pool. As you know, I just took the debut ride on it. But those possibilities, or taxi cabs, there should be a way where it's not just a one-way trip, so that they can actually pick up someone on the back and it decreases the cost of the trip. We should be looking at that. We need to be smart about it. I'm in full support of it. I'm thankful you brought it up. Thanks again for the people that spoke. But I do want us to think ahead and think of how to make this smart fiscally as well. So I support this. Thank you.
All I want to say is I just want to thank Commissioner Wexler for bringing up this very good item and for your leadership in this. It's very important. And with that said, Commissioner
Mayor?
Wexler, would you like to? Oh, of course,
Just one comment.
Ms. Henry.
Thank you. In defense of the staff, but certainly in deference to the board, this is where this decision belongs. This is a policy decision of the board. For some of you that may remember, many, many years ago, our paratransit program was in disarray. We had people going any and everywhere, and we pay for it dearly, or those of us that pay property taxes for the large share pay for it dearly. So what we, as a staff, we design a system to fit within the confines of what the federal statutes allow us to do. As Commissioner Wexler indicated at the beginning of this, where we deviate today from what the statute allows, and it says you are required to provide paratransit service 3/4 of a mile from a fixed route. So we have a fixed route that goes to a certain distance within Miami-Dade as well as Palm Beach. The only place where we deviate from that is that there are areas within Broward County that fall outside of the 3/4 of a mile. The county commission at that time made a decision to support all of Broward County residents. So that was a decision of the board. We get requests all the time to go beyond that, and the staff had no ability to be selective in which ones they want to support or not. So in this case, My conversations with Commissioner Wexler centered around this, at least at the moment. I can speak to, we have about 10 of our frequent paratransit customers that utilize FAU. There will be a slight financial consequence to that because we'll have to make some amendments, but this isn't a significant financial issue. The issue for the staff has always been we don't know where to stop the line. And so as long as this decision is brought to this board and you make that decision and tied with that, the financial resources that go with that, the staff will implement whatever the board would like to do.
Thank you. Commissioner Wexler.
Thank you, and I do understand that, and that's why the item is before us today. And Ms. Henry and I discussed this for the last 2 weeks, and this was the way that it needed to go forward, which was as a policy decision of the Board of County Commissioners. I recognize that, but I think that one of the things that's so important of what you said is that this board did make a conscious decision a number of years ago. This paratransit system was very much out of control. And the recession itself, as well as trying to do things differently in our paratransit system with separate dispatch, as well as buying our own vehicles and modifications like that, we believe have given us much more control of the system. The 3/4 of a mile rule are federal guidelines that have direct impact on pay, but when you look at the map that I provided for you in the, and it's Exhibit 2 in your packet, what it shows is in white, huge holes in Broward County. And almost all of Weston, if not every bit of Weston, is not in the fixed route system because buses are only allowed on Weston Road. They're not allowed in the city of Weston. And so we make that conscious effort as a Board of County Commissioners out of our general fund to pay for that. If you also look at it, and I bet you this is going to surprise the mayor because this is your hometown here, a good portion of the town of Davie is out of the fixed route. It falls out of the system, so it's also in white. We make that conscious effort. Imagination Farms, out of it. And all that area out there is all out of it because there is no fixed route bus service. And it is a fascinating and opportunity, and it's got so many layers of information that you as commissioners and colleagues really need to learn over the years. I passed him the torch because I've been carrying this torch for 11 years now as far as paratransit. Roland, I know you do, but Roland, who originally wrote the letter, doesn't live in my district. He lives in Plantation, but not in my part of it. I believe he lives in your part of it, Mayor. And but I got involved because this is one of the things that I've taken up, the paratransit issue, all of these years. I'm sorry that it's taken this long to bring an actual item forward. We have a great opportunity here today to fix a wrong. The motion that I'm going to make is to extend paratransit route to make Florida Atlantic University Boca Raton campus one of our stops in Palm Beach County, which increases it from 2 to 3, and that's the motion.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Show the item passes unanimously. Thank you.
And I just for Mr. Garland, can you, and I'm sorry I didn't ask you this yesterday, can you let me know what the steps are? Do we have to have a public hearing? Because okay, good. So I just wanted to make sure that we will send you around a timeline as to when this could be implemented, because it wouldn't start tomorrow, because we're going to have to amend some contracts, and I didn't know if there were any other administrative things that we have to do, but we will do that.
You do know that our paratransit service now goes right past FAU.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. If somebody would let Ms. Fortman know what's going on so she can let the people that were here today, I bet you she has names and email addresses and phone numbers for everybody that spoke here today, because I'm sure they're very interested.
Yes, we will
Thank
get this
you.
done as quickly as we can.
Great. The item has been passed. We now are